I am only one, but still, I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. Hi, I'm Craig Lounsbrough. Welcome to LifeTalk. You know, I'm only one, that's all I am. I am only one, and I will always be only one. I was born as one, I will live as one, and on the day of my death, I'm going to die as one. What's it like to live as being only one? Well, because I'm only one, I relegate myself to being only one. I surrender to this weak singularity. I'm obscure, so much so that I can hardly define myself or my purpose as held against the billions of others within which my existence becomes swallowed up and lost. Look, as held against history, time, and creation, I will enter with barely a sound, and I will exit in the same manner. And in relegating myself to being one and only one, I unwittingly embrace the limitations that I perceive are part and parcel of being one and only one. I become convinced of what I think being one means, and subsequently, what it does not mean. So there we have fears of being one. The first fear is the fear of not being enough. I think that we fear that being one is not being enough. Being one is too often seen as being inadequate. The world out there is not some massive mass of people. It's a collection of individuals. It's a bunch of ones. By and large, those individuals experience life pretty much the same way that we do. It's all just a collection of ones. It's a collection of people that are each one individual, just like we are one individual. And while being one makes us perfectly suited to impacting all of the other ones around us, we still fear that being one is not enough. Second, the fear that we can't be loud enough. I also think that we fear that our single voice is not loud enough. We don't have the volume to be heard over the raucous, the roar, and all of the noise in our world today. We can't possibly scream loud enough or long enough to be heard in the ruckus and the racket that defines the world around us. So our voices are drowned out. Yet we need to remember that we're not speaking to the world around us. We're speaking to the ones around us. And because that's the case, there's plenty of them, and we are plenty loud enough. Third, the fear of being rejected. You know, I think that maybe our greatest fear is that we will be heard, and that in being heard, we'll be rejected or discounted or blown off. It seems that our single biggest fear is rejection. What if we're heard, and in the hearing we're labeled as stupid, or naive, or ignorant? What if we're heard, and then we're slapped with accusations of being politically incorrect, culturally ill-informed, biased, mistaken at some fundamental level, or being something of a faith-based moron? What if we take a stand? What if we refuse to compromise? What if what we're saying isn't popular or trendy, or it's absent in the talking points of a screaming media? What if? I think that we need to understand that there are ones out there who share our convictions and who understand the oppressive burdens that birthed those convictions. Indeed, we are one, but we are not alone in being one. Fourth, the fear of failure. So what if I step out as one in the midst of the chaos and the darkness and the malaise? And what if I fail? What if nothing is different? What if I'm shamed into submission as my failures bring me face to face with the limitations of being only one that I hoped were not true? What if I try and nothing changes? What if I step up and get knocked down? Then through some misplaced hope and fanciful zeal, I have done nothing other than convince myself that being only one is truly limited to being only one. And I hardly think that I could live with that. Fifth, the fear of responsibility. But what if this one that I am is not a one in isolation? What if I can change things? What if I can impact the world? What if? Maybe we don't want to be responsible for that much power. Maybe we don't want to shoulder some sort of bold mantle, draw our resources around us, and press out against so much of what is destroying so many today. Maybe under the right circumstances, we'd be willing to follow someone who would be willing to do that. But we don't want to be the one doing that. We don't want to be the leading. We prefer to leave such exploits to others and follow them at a comfortable distance, or track them from an even greater distance. But what if we actually pull it off and are left with the responsibility of having done that? The responsibility might be, well, it might be a bit too much for us. Look, I want you to think about the opportunity of being one. I am only one in a mammoth sea of humanity, within which my main and often single goal is simply to survive. But I am one, and my oneness is sufficient to forego surviving and embrace living. I am only one, and despite the rather lackluster view of myself, being one, well, that's enough. So look, I am one, and I'm only one, and because I am, the reality of my existence can change the reality of every other one around me. In the span of this minute, or this hour, or this day, or in the span of history itself, my existence can be noted. And because I am one, it can register enough to acknowledge that I was here. The briefest notations that I have made or will make on the pages of history can add moving lines of inspiration in the seemingly infinite volumes of tightly written copy that stretch from mankind's earliest moments to his eventual demise, because I am one. I'm in union with the infinite one, who renders me capable of being everything that I am not. I have yet to understand that my oneness is never held solely to itself, that my oneness is the seed of a greater greatness, that when joined with God, with those others He brings alongside of me, and with the dreams He has implanted within me, with the purpose He has bestowed upon me, this one that I am will remain one, but it will be a one that has moved leagues beyond its own oneness. Yes, I am only one, but I am one in league with a God who makes my oneness infinite. So look, you have one chance at being one. You've been granted one life to touch the other ones around you. Being one is being enough. Life's about being intentional about being the best one that you can be, and intentionally touching all of the other ones around you in a manner that transforms them one at a time. Be the one that you were designed to be, and change the world by being that one. For despite your poor assessment of yourself, you will always remain this beautiful, beautiful one. Today's podcast is drawn from the book, The Self That I Long to Believe In, The Challenge of Building Self-Esteem. I would encourage you to get your copy today at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever books are sold. I want to thank you for joining us on LifeTalk today. You will find LifeTalk on most podcast platforms, as well as YouTube. And I would also encourage you to check out our daily posts on all of our social media sites. Thanks for being here. See you next time. Our self-esteem is not diminished by the power of the people around us. Rather, it is diminished by the power that we grant the people around us.